Well, today, like I said, we're doing the second part of our Love Life series. So part of this Love Life series is this title, Tough Love is Forever. Tough love is forever. And when we talk about love, a lot of times we get, we have this idea of what we think love is. And I know that we see it all the time in movies, we read about it in books, and all this. Popular culture is full of what they think and what the popular culture thinks love actually is. And everybody loves a good romance. I mean, I'll even admit, I love a good romantic story as well. I know the ladies, you prefer to cry through these real tearjerker movies. I don't know why. I don't understand that. I'm a guy. But us guys, we don't mind a good romance if it's buried in like a big battle movie, where the warrior fights so hard to win the heart of the beautiful maiden. And so that's all fun. But we love to experience that. We love to see a good romance played out on the screen. So with that in mind, as we get started today, I want to know, what are your favorite romantic movies? What do you think is the most romantic movie of all time? Go ahead and drop it in the comments. I'll give you a minute to drop that in there, and then we'll come back to that a little bit later. So I'm curious to see what you say. I've got my little notepad out here. I'm going to take little notes what you think, because I'm sure as I preach this, we'll scroll on by. My favorite movie that I think is probably one of the most romantic movies, not one that you probably guessed, is Cinderella Man. Cinderella Man stars Russell Crowe, and it's the true story of a boxer. His nickname is the Cinderella Man, and it's a great movie. It's got a lot of action, but there's a lot of heart, and why I think that's probably one of the most romantic movies as far as showing what love really is will make more sense at the end of the message. So let's see what we got here. Oh, we've got some. We've got Titanic. Oh my goodness, I dropped my pen. Titanic, The Notebook. Of course, The Notebook has to be on there. Transformers. Oh, Andrew, that's hilarious. Chuck, I know you like Sleepless in Seattle. Tamara does too. Serendipity. Yeah, there's a bunch of them there. The Vow. All right. Well, hold on to those. Okay. Don't forget that's what you said the most romantic movie was. We'll come back to that here in a little bit. We like to watch these kinds of movies because, thank you, dear. That's my Valentine giving me another pen there. So let me write some of these down. We had Serendipity. That was fun. Wasn't that with, who was in that one? Who was in Serendipity? That was, what's her name? I can't remember her name now. I see her face, but I can't remember her name. Tombstone, John Autry. That's hilarious. Sound of Music. Well, Sound of Music is actually, Scooter, kind of romantic. Yeah. Jerry Maguire. Well, yes, old Jerry. We're gonna Titanic. What's Julie got? Passion of the Christ. She's trying to get ahead of me. Julie's jumping ahead in the message. We like to watch these kinds of movies because it gives us that new love feeling. We get to see these characters experience kind of that newness, that romance, that magical feeling, and we tend to associate with what we think love is. We say, "Oh, this is so magical. This is so wonderful. They're just experiencing love for the first time. They're falling head over heels in love. How wonderful that is!" And maybe you've been married for a little while, or maybe you haven't been even dating anybody for a while, and you feel like that magical feeling just isn't there anymore. You've lost that magical feeling, or like Tom Cruise famously sang in Top Gun, you've lost that loving feeling. And well, I want to tell you why that's the case, why you lose that feeling, and hopefully restore some of that to you today. But the reason you don't have that is because, well, let's be real. When you get together with your special someone, there is not this musical interlude, this soaring music playing in the background that just rises at exactly the right moment. It doesn't start raining when you're out taking a walk at just the right moment for dramatic effect. You don't wake up in the morning looking and smelling like $1,000,000. I mean, that's the way they do it in the movies. That's not what happens in real life. And you don't always have the right words to say. Sometimes you feel a certain way, but you just don't have the eloquence to be able to say it the way that you do. And even if you did come up with the words, the response that you might hear back would not be so poetically nuanced. And you'd be like, "What's wrong with you? I just gave you my heart and soul. I wrote you this poem. I sang you this song. But your response, it doesn't quite live up to that. And you know why all of that is true? Because life isn't scripted. That's why. When you watch the movies, when you read the books, when your heart is captured by the music and the moment, all of that is fantasy. All of that is scripted. They're actors. I know I hate to break it to you this morning, but they're actors, and they're simply reading or memorizing a script that was written for them. And so with this steady diet of movies and books and popular culture, it's no wonder that we have a false definition of love. No wonder you could be so easily disappointed with life. So today I want to help set you free from unrealistic expectations. I want to talk to you today about what does it mean when you say the words, those three magic words, I love you. What does that mean? When you say, I love you, what do we mean when we say it? I'll tell you what it doesn't mean. It doesn't mean I'll never disappoint you. It doesn't mean that we will always be happy. It doesn't mean I think that you are absolutely perfect. It doesn't mean that I am absolutely perfect whenever I hear those words. And the reason why is because we married a human. I mean, I don't know about you, but I married a human being, and human beings are not perfect. Love basically is not infatuation. Infatuation is this sensation that we feel when we first begin to meet someone or see someone, is that I'm in love with this person head over heels immediately, falling in love at first sight kind of thing. And this is a rush, and it feels great. It's wonderful, of dopamine being released in our brain. And basically, you become a drug addict for about 6 weeks to 18 months. That's how long psychologists tell us that this infatuation phase, this addiction to dopamine, lasts about 6 weeks to 18 months. That's just the reality. That's not scripted. That's not movies. That's not books. That's real life. So that magical newness, that wonderful romantic feeling, is really just a hit of dopamine. You become a drug addict for a little bit. And so when we watch these movies, when we read these books, we begin to experience it. We put ourselves into those stories, and we begin to experience a little bit of that ourselves. And you'll see this played out even in real life. You'll see this is where we do and say crazy things that we probably shouldn't say and do. I remember one time whenever I was a teenager, it wasn't me, but there was this another teenage couple that went to our youth pastor, and they said, "Oh, we're in love and we want to get married." And he's like, "Well, you're still teenagers, and how do you know that you're in love?" And she looks at him and she says, "But when we hold hands, our fingers fit together so perfectly. It's like they were made for each other." And I remember when I heard that, I thought, we all have, for the most part, 5 fingers on each hand, and they fit together. Hands are made to do that. I mean, my own hand fits together perfectly. But this is the kind of view that we have when you're high on dopamine. You think that means something. You think that, wow, you start seeing meaning in all kinds of things. You're not really all together there mentally because you're high on dopamine. We say things that really aren't true, but they sound good in the moment, like, "You complete me." Right? You remember that from Jerry Maguire? I can't endorse the movie, but we've all seen the movie. It's the famous "You had me at hello" and "You complete me." And in reality, it's "No, you don't." That's not what saying "I love you" means, because spouses don't complete each other. We talked about this last week just a little bit. I held up this big blue shape and I said, look, the only thing that can really complete you is Jesus Christ. The only one who can fill that longing and that void inside your soul is Jesus Christ. And then our life begins to make more sense when we try to figure out where it fits into the lives of others. In other words, we don't complete each other, okay? We complement each other. And that's a big difference when you realize that your spouse or the person that you are seeing, or the person that you're thinking about seeing, or the person that you wish that you knew that you could see, when you begin to think about them, well, they're not going to complete me. They can't complete me. That's impossible. A person can't do that, but they can complement me. We can come together as a team. We can complete a team together. Then the whole idea of what love is and what marriage is begins to change. And that's why we don't get married to fix somebody. You ever hear that, or you ever think that? Sometimes we're drawn to people who are just so broken because there's something in us that says, "Oh, I need to fix that person." We don't do that. We don't get married, or you shouldn't do that. You don't get married to fix somebody. Okay, don't be a hero. You'll end up being a martyr. And the reason why is because marriage does not fix problems. How about that? We'll get to the uplifting stuff here in a minute, but marriage doesn't fix problems. It actually magnifies them. Okay, if you marry somebody who is emotionally unstable, if you marry somebody who is a poor communicator, if you marry somebody that has a bad temper, if they have self-esteem issues, if you marry somebody that's not good with money, guess what happens when you get married? Those things don't go away. They only get magnified, and it appears a lot worse. So if you're not married today, if you're single and you're dating, or you're thinking about dating, or you're maybe, well, who should I date? Keep this in mind, okay? You're not chasing potential. Don't chase potential. Everybody has potential, okay? You can't look at this person and go, wow, they're beautiful and we have a good time together. They have all these huge glaring flaws in their life, but I could fix them up because they have a lot of potential. We're not after potential. Everybody has potential, okay? What you should be after is an awful lot of prove it. You know what prove it is? Prove it is I'm out there and I'm doing the right things. I'm showing the right things. I'm making the right effort in life to build myself and to mature myself and become the person that I'm supposed to be. That's what you should be looking for. Purpose, proven purpose, as opposed to potential. Because you can take that. You can take somebody that has made an effort to grow and to mature, and you can begin to build a team on that. Next week, we're going to teach on the right stuff. So what, if you're looking to get married, what is the kind of stuff that you should be looking for? We're going to talk about that. And if you're already married to a fixer-upper, we'll talk about that next week. So you need to tune in. And if you are the fixer-upper, if you're the one that has all these issues that marriage has magnified, you definitely need to be in church next week, because we're going to talk about how to cultivate the right stuff in your life. All is not lost if you got married for the wrong reasons, or you got married and you lost that feeling, or you got married and realized that I'm the fixer-upper. All is not lost. You don't have to break it all down and start all over again. There are things you can do. We're going to get into that next week. It's going to be great. I want to get back to what love is, though. When we talk about what love is, what does it mean when I say, I love you? We know what it's not. Okay, we know what it's not. But what is love? Well, let's turn to one of the most famous passages of Scripture and look and just see, because it breaks down what love is. 1 Corinthians chapter 13 says this, says, love is patient and kind. Love does not envy or boast. It is not arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice at wrongdoing, but rejoices with the truth. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never ends. That word ends there literally means what it says. It means love never drops off. Love never fails. Love never fades away. Love never becomes of no effect. Love is forever. Love is forever. And many parents have thought that they were being really smart and showing a lot of wisdom when they sit down with their teenage daughter or their teenage son and they begin to kind of talk through this relationship. And they say, well, you know, does this person really love you? Yes, Dad, I think they do. I think I love them. I think they love me. How do I know what love is? And so parents think that, well, let's go to 1 Corinthians 13 and let's just replace love with this person's name. So let's say the daughter comes home and she just met this guy and she thinks that he's just so in love with her. He seems to be doing all the right things, or maybe in her mind, she's on that dopamine hit, so everything looks like it's right. And so the parents try to speak you're trying to speak a little bit of wisdom into her life, and you say, all right, well, what's his name again? Chaz. Chaz is his name. And Chaz is like, yo, dude, Chaz, right? So he's Mr. Cool. He's Mr. Popular at school. How do you know that Chaz loves you? Well, let's just replace Chaz with love. Chaz is patient. Chaz is kind. Chaz Chaz is not rude. Chaz is not arrogant. Chaz does not rejoice at wrongdoing. Chaz bears all things. Chaz hopes all. We begin to do this, right? And it becomes pretty obvious that that maybe Chaz isn't quite in love yet. When we're in this infatuation phase, look, there's nothing really wrong with infatuation as long as you know that's what's going on. Why does this have wisdom to it? Why was that actually a good idea to do? Because we want our kids to marry godly people. That's why we want our kids to marry somebody that mirrors God's image in this life. We want them to have godly spouses. And if God is at work in this person's life, then they're going to bear spiritual fruit. They're going to bear the fruit of the Spirit of God. We find that in Galatians 5:22, and it's awful lot like 1 Corinthians 13. Peace, love, joy, patience, kindness, gentleness, all these things. Okay, so yeah, there's wisdom in that idea. And that's why in 1 John 4:8, when you have God working in your life, 1 John 4:8 says this: anyone who does not love does not know God, because God is love. And so if you have God working in your life, then you're going to have love working in your life. And if God is working in your life and love is working in your life, you're going to have the spiritual fruit of love in your life. So yeah, there's a lot of wisdom in trying that replace your name with in 1 Corinthians with the word love and just see. And so we tend to read through 1 Corinthians 13 and we say, oh, love is patient, and love is kind, and love never fails, love endures, love bears all things. And we think, wow, that is so like take my breath away romantic. It's ooey, gooey, mushy romance right there. That's an amazing kind of love. I want you to read it again. Okay, I want you to read again, because 1 Corinthians 13 wasn't written by Nicholas Sparks, okay, the notebook guy, okay. It wasn't written by the person who wrote Serendipity or the Titanic, or it wasn't Sleepless in Seattle, okay. It wasn't these writers that we talked about at the very beginning. This was written by the Apostle Paul under the inspiration of the Holy Ghost. And that's a lot different. I want you to read 1 Corinthians 13 again, and I want you to see something here. It's not that this is ooey gooey, romantic, dopamine kind of love. Love is tough. This is tough love, because at the end of the day, real life is tough. And if you're going to make it through real life together, you've got to have a love that is tough also. Life can be rough. Love has to be tough. And so when you read 1 Corinthians 13, it says this: it will endure. Love will endure. Well, in order for something to endure, it has to be tested. Love will be patient. And if love is going to be patient, that means it's going to have to wait. Love is kind. And if love is going to be kind, that means it has to choose how it's going to react to bad situations, to hard situations, to situations that don't go your way. Love is not puffed up. Love is not puffed up. It's not arrogant, which means it's not going to get its way all the time, and it's okay with that. Love never fails. That means love's going to have the chance to fail. That means it's going to go through the trouble. It's going to go through the trial. I want to tell you today that the Hollywood kind of love, this romanticized, this fictionalized, these projected daydreams, because we do that. We watch the movies, we read the books, and we think, oh, this is what love is, and so that's what I'm looking for in a spouse. That's what I'm looking for in a romantic partner. I'm looking for somebody that can do all these things, but it's a daydream. We imagine, we think, this is what love would really be like. This is how amazing it would really be. And we project that onto somebody else. And of course, they can't live up to those expectations. All of those things will fail, but tough love is forever. True love is forever. I want you to remember last week we talked about, hey, here's the shape of my life. It makes more sense when it's in the middle of other people's lives. It's not all about me and the shape of my life. It's actually about the true joy and love that comes when we are building together, when my life fits into the lives of someone else. So I said this earlier, but we don't complete each other. We complement each other, and we complete a team together. Tamara, sitting right over here, you can't see her, but she's sitting here watching the live stream and managing, doing a great job, dear. And she doesn't complete me, but together we complete a team. Look at it in Ecclesiastes 4:9. This is such an important concept. Ecclesiastes 4:9 says this: 2 are better than 1, because they have good reward for their toil. You're going to get a better reward if there's two people working than one. If they fall, one will lift up his fellow. But woe to him who is alone when he falls and has not another to lift him up. Again, if two lie together, they can keep warm. But how can one keep warm alone? There is a value in having a team. There is a value in being partnered with somebody who they're not out to complete you as a person. They're out to complete as a team and to work together and to toil together and to make it through things together. Because let's be real, in life, you're going to deal with all kinds of things. You're going to deal with financial stress. Somebody eventually is going to lose their job. They're going to be climbing the corporate ladder. You're going to be cheering them on. You'll be climbing the corporate ladder. They'll be cheering you on. You're going to go through all the stress of that and trying to perform on your job. Maybe you decide to start a business, and you're going to need somebody there to help you. And I can just tell you, that's not the easiest thing in the world to be successful at starting your own business. You're going to deal with tragedy in life. There's going to be sickness. There's going to be death. There's going to be pain. You're going to deal with all kinds of emotions that come about because of things as simple as aging. You're going to get older, and your view on life is going to change. You're going to deal with a range of emotions. You get to travel together. You're going to travel. You're going to see the world. You're going to go you're going to have different experiences. You'll watch movies together, play games together, enjoy good food together. Maybe you have hobbies that you share together. You'll buy a house. Maybe you'll remodel the house. That's a real test of a marriage right there. You'll have success. You'll experience accolades. And what fun is success and accolades if there's no one to share it with? Maybe you'll have children. Maybe you'll have children and you'll tell them, I love you. And you'll tell your kids that. And when you begin to tell your kids, I love you, you begin to start to understand what love really means, because that's a different kind of love altogether. I remember my mom, she used to tell me, I love you so much. I'm your mother. I will love you no matter what you do. No matter, you couldn't go far enough. You couldn't do anything bad enough to make me not love you. And of course, being the kind of kid that I am and the kind of adult that I am now, I of course take that to the extreme. I said, well, Mom, what if I was to do something really, really bad? Like what if I was to kill somebody? Okay. And she just looked at me so kindly in that motherly way. And she said, well, I would still love you, but you'd have to go to jail. And so I thought, wow, that kind of settled for me. Like, I don't want to kill anybody, but if I did, if I was to do something just terrible like that, I'm still going to be loved. My mom's still going to love me. She's still going to care for me. There will be consequences. There will be consequences, but I'm still going to be loved. And marriage, when we start talking about marriage, like we are today, we're talking about a team that grows through all these kinds of life events together. All these things that I listed. All the struggles and the stress of life, all the joys and the wondrous things that happen in life, you have somebody to share it with. You have somebody to go through it together. And God is the one who stays beside us through all these events. So we have, if you're married, you have that person. If you're single, God says He's not ever going to leave you either. So what does it mean then when God says, I love you? What does it mean when I say, I love you? What does it mean when your spouse says, they love you? Well, I'll tell you what it means. It means they're committed to you. That's what it means. It doesn't mean I love you. That means that I have this magical feeling all the time. It doesn't mean that I'm high on dopamine all the time. What it really means is I'm committed to you. I'm in this for the long haul. It's no wonder then if love means commitment, if love is this choice to be committed, that marriage is one of the ways that God has chosen to reveal Himself in the earth. We talked about this last week, that one of the ways that God has chosen to reveal Himself in the earth is through the church body. And the way that people know that He is present in this earth is because they see the love that we have for one another. They see how committed we are to each other. Well, marriage is like that too. Marriage is another way that we show that God is here on this earth. It's actually in the image of God that we are married. Watch this. Ephesians 5:31 says this, therefore a man shall leave his father and mother and hold fast to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. This mystery is profound, and it is. Love is a profound thing. And I'm saying that this mystery refers to Christ and the church. I want you to know that Jesus Christ is in love with His church. He sacrificed Himself. He gave Himself. He was in the Garden of Gethsemane and he was scared, but he went ahead and did it anyway. He shed his blood for us. He told us that he would never leave us or forsake us. He said that he would be with us until the end. These are the words of Jesus. This is the actions of Jesus. This is what he did. We know that he is in love with his church, and the church loves him. The church loves him. That's why the church has been there for him, serving him, loving him through thick and thin, through persecution or through freedom. Come hell or high water, the church is his ride or die. This is the way that we're supposed to be married. This is what marriage represents, Christ and the church. If you can strive to be a husband like that, a husband that shows the love of Christ to the church, if you can strive to be a wife like that, the one who adores and respects and hangs onto the very life of the husband, what in the world could ever defeat you? Not a thing. Not a single thing. You know why? Because yes, love has feelings in it. Yes, there's dopamine. Yes, there's this wonderful, magical feeling of being in love, but it's a lot more than that. Love is more than a feeling. If you're still hung up on this idea, but what about the feelings? Now, let me tell you, love is not just a feeling. Love contains some feelings, but love is more than that. And how do you know that? Because love is also a commandment. And you can't, last time I checked, command a feeling. You can't tell somebody, be sad, be happy, be angry right now, the drop of a hat. You can't do that. You can't command emotion like that. And so love is not just a feeling. Love is not just an emotion. It's actually a command. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, and soul. Love one another. Love your neighbor. Love your enemy. These are commands to love. And it's the same word, by the way. In the Greek, it's the same word for love. It all means the same thing. And so love then is more than a feeling. Love is commitment. So I want you to think about this. We read the passage that says God is love. God is commitment. He loves you. And God is committed to you. He is never going to leave you. He is never going to forsake you. And when you have God working in your life, and you begin to feel love for someone else, and you begin to tell them, I love you, what you're actually saying, what you're actually hearing when they say it to you is, I am committed to you. Yes, it feels nice to be with you. Yes, I enjoy my time with you, but I am committed to you through thick and thin, through hell or high water, or ride or die. True love is tough love because real life is rough. But true love is tough. I want you to know that today. I want you to let that just sink in today. If you're single, I want you to know God loves you and is committed to you in every way, forever and ever. He's never going to leave you because God is love. God is committed. And if you're married today, I hope this is a great opportunity for you to just look at your spouse and tell them, I love you. And you know what that means? That means I'm committed to you. And when you say it back to me, I know you're committed to me. And we're going to be through this together. This can be the day that you shake off this need to feel those warm, fuzzy feelings all the time, to feel like, oh, the magic is gone in our marriage. Well, no, it's not, because you're still committed to each other. That's real love. That's true love. That's what it's really all about. Because the feelings will come and go, but true love is forever. Thank you for tuning in today. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May he cause his face to shine upon you. And may you walk this week more committed than ever. And may you feel like someone is more committed than ever to you. May you feel the peace and the joy that comes from knowing that God is committed to you forever and ever. Have a great week. Stay warm and safe. We will see you in person next Sunday.